welcome to Shri Private School. Today we will complete our lesson Human Digestive System. Last session we talked about the body of living organism. وعرفنا ان البادي بتاعنا consisted of system, و each system consisted of organ, و each organ consisted of tissue, و each tissue consisted of similar cells. وعرفنا الديفينيشن بتاع cells, the smallest building unit of the living organism body. وخدنا كمان في الدايجستيف سيستم وقلنا ان هو consisted of digestive canal, the digestive canal supplementers. واتكلمنا عن الماوث واخدنا فيه التيث. طيب لو خدنا طبعا الجيف ريزون بتاعتنا، طب لو جه جالي سؤال وقال لي جيف ريزون incisors and canines cut and tear the food into small pieces، يبقى الاجابه بتاعتي او الانسر بتاعي ايه؟ يبقى to make it swallowing easy. طب لو جه قال لي جيف ريزون teeth are different in shape، يبقى الانسر بتاعي الفانكشن اوف cutting tearing and grinding of food. طيب لو جه عملنا مثلا عشان نعمل conversation ما بين الانسيسور والكناين والمولرز، لو جه قال لي في حوار النمبر، يبقى الانسيسور يبقى 4 وكات فود، طب والكناين يبقى 2 والفانكشن بتاعها تير فود، طب والمولرز عددهم او النمبر بتاعهم 10، طب والفانكشن بتاعها grind food. Today we talk about tongue. يبقى لما نيجي نتكلم عن التانج هنقول it is an organ which has different functions. يبقى ليه different functions. Number 1, it makes food with saliva to make its swallowing easy. طب number 2, it is the tasting organ. Number 3, it moves the food inside the mouth cavity. تعالوا نشوف الفيديو عشان نفهم اكتر الفانكشن بتاعت التانج.
Chewing is the first stage of the digestive system. When you chew your food, the food particles break down into little pieces that are easier to swallow. The saliva which contains a
يبقى زي ما شفنا الديفرنت فانكشن بتاعت التانج. طب لما يجي سؤال ويقول لي mention the function of tongue، يبقى عندنا 3 different function. يبقى number 1, it makes food with saliva to make its swallowing easy. طب number 2, it is the tasting organ. number 3, it moves the food inside the mouth cavity. يبقى يجي number 2 salivary glands. يبقى there are 3 pairs of glands. 3 pairs يعني mean 6 glands. طيب ليها function طبعا، يبقى زي secret saliva liquid that contains digestive enzymes that change digest starch into simple substance called sugar. يبقى الستارش by saliva تتحول للشوجر. طب لو احنا دلوقتي ما بنتكلم في الفانكشن اتكلمنا عن حاجه اسمها digestive enzymes، يبقى digestive enzymes دي عندي ليها definition، يبقى they are digestive substance that digest food and convert mean change it into simple substance. يبقى digestive enzymes they are digestive substance that digest food and convert it into simple substance. طب يجي لي question ويقول لي mention the function of salivary glands، يبقى على طول الانسر بتاعي change starch into simple substance called sugar. يبقى change the starch into sugar. طب يجي لي question يقول لي give reason digestion of starch starts in mouth. digestion of starch starts in mouth. يبقى الانسر بتاعي due to presence يعني موجود of salivary glands that secretes saliva which change the starch into sugar. يبقى saliva which change the starch into sugar. تعالوا نشوف فيديو عشان نشوف شكل الساليفري glands.
The saliva, which contains a lot of enzymes, mixes with those food particles and helps break down those food particles even more. Once you have completely chewed your food,
طيب generally the function of the mouth in digestion is number 1 cutting and grinding food with the teeth. number 2 digestion of starch into sugar. يبقى لما يجي يقول لي يبقى لما يجي يقول لي mention the function of the mouth ويسكت، يبقى الانسر بتاعي number 1 cutting and grinding food with the teeth، number 2 digestion of starch into sugar. غير لما يجي يقول لي mention the function ويحدد لي كل سؤال، يعني مثلا التانج او السليفري جلاند او التيث او الكاناينز، زي ما احنا قلنا كل حاجه وليها الفانكشن بتاعها. طب يجي question complete number 1 يقول لي salivary glands secrete، يقول لي space in the space، يبقى الانسر بتاعي salivary glands secrete saliva in the mouth. طب يجي لي question تاني ويقول لي write the scientific term the organ that is responsible for tasting food، يبقى الانسر بتاعي tongue. يبقى لما يجي تاني بيقول لي the organ that is responsible for tasting food، يبقى الانسر بتاعي tongue. طب احنا دلوقتي خلصنا الماوس، بعد الماوس عندنا حاجه اسمها الفارنكس. يبقى after the mouth food passes to pharynx then esophagus then stomach، يبقى من pharynx to esophagus to stomach. واحنا دلوقتي هنتكلم عن الفارنكس. الفارنكس it is a common cavity leads to esophagus in digestive system and trachea in the respiratory system. يعني common cavity يعني هو موجود في two system. ودلوقتي احنا بناخد الdigestive system، يبقى احنا هناخد دلوقتي الاسوفاجس. يبقى هنقول يبقى it is a common cavity leads to esophagus in the digestive system and trachea or trachea in the respiratory system. ممكن يجي لي question complete ويقول لي pharynx is a common cavity leads to space and space، يبقى الانسر بتاعي esophagus and trachea or trachea. طب نمبر 3 معانا esophagus يبقى it is a muscular tube connecting to stomach. it is a muscular tube، يعني لو احنا عندنا تيوب، مش التيوب بتبقى opened من ناحيتين؟ طيب يبقى ليه open؟ علشان تعمل باصص للفود من الفارنكس تو ستومك. يبقى دلوقتي انا عندي في الاسوفاجس فانكشن، يبقى الفانكشن بتاع الاسوفاجس it allows food to pass from pharynx to stomach. يبقى لما يجي ويقول لي mention the function of esophagus، يبقى it allows food to pass from pharynx to stomach. يبقى هو ده شكل الفارنكس زي ما احنا شايفين. تعالوا نشوفه في البيكتشر عشان نشوف اكتر وتبقى اهو ده شكل الفارنكس زي ما احنا شايفين كده. الفارنكس اهو. يبقى لما يجي يقول لي question mention the function of esophagus، يبقى الانسر بتاعي it allows food to pass from pharynx to stomach. تعالوا نشوف شكل الاسوفاجس في البيكتشر معانا عشان تبقى شكلها واضحه قدامنا. زي ما احنا شايفين كده ده شكل الاسوفاجس، عباره عن muscular tube زي ما انتم شايفين كده long واوبن من هنا واوبن من هنا عشان تعمل باص للفود من الفارنكس، من هنا الفارنكس تو ستومك للستومك هنا. يبقى ده شكل الاسوفاجس. طب نيجي بعد كده للستومك. يبقى الاستومك عندي it is a muscular sac. it is a sac like muscular organ. يعني ايه؟ يعني مين made of muscles. يبقى الاستومك it is a sac like muscular organ. يعني ايه؟ مين made of muscles organ. يعني ايه برضو؟ يعني انا عندي بتعمل increase in size. يعني مثلا لما بنيجي ناكل مش بنحس ان الاستومك بتاعتنا بتعمل increase في السايز بتاعها، صح؟ يبقى هو كده هي بتعمل increase in size. طيب ليها function طبعا. يبقى الفانكشن بتاعت الاستومك يبقى it secretes gastric juice that makes incomplete digestion of proteins as it changes protein into a semi-liquid substance after few hours to be digested easily. يبقى تاني by function بتاعت الاستومك يبقى it secretes gastric juice that makes incomplete digestion of proteins as it changes protein into a semi-liquid substance after few hours to be digested easily. زي ما احنا شايفين كده ده شكل الاستومك اهو. ده شكل الاستومك عبارة عن sac muscular organ شبه الساكة بتعمل increase in size. يبقى ممكن يجيلي question ويقول لي mention of function the stomach يبقى secretes gastric juice that makes incomplete digestion of proteins as it changes protein into a semi-liquid substance after few hours to be digested easily. طب ممكن يجيلي question تاني ويقول لي complete stomach it secretes space that makes incomplete digestion of proteins يبقى secretes gastric juice. تعالوا نشوف فيديو يعمل لنا explain to food passes to pharynx then esophagus then stomach.
Of digestion in the stomach. The process of digestion begins inside the mouth. The teeth break down the food into smaller particles. It then gets mixed with the saliva in the mouth to form a slurry mass called bolus. As the food is swallowed, the soft palate blocks the upper throat called the pharynx, which prevents the entry of food into the nasal cavity. When the food passes over the epiglottis, which is a flap-like structure which prevents the entry of food into the trachea, it pushes down the epiglottis. The food then enters the food pipe or esophagus, which connects the pharynx to the stomach and is gently pushed down to the stomach by wave-like muscle contractions and relaxations known as peristalsis. When the food enters the stomach, a J-shaped bag-like structure, mucus, hydrochloric acid, and digestive juices that are present in the stomach act on the food to help digest it through chemical action. The mucous membrane protects the inner wall of the stomach from the effects of the acid. The hydrochloric acid kills the bacteria that enter along with the food and also helps in the digestion of proteins. The digestive juices start breaking down the proteins present in the food into simpler forms. Muscular contractions in the stomach churn this food mass to further break it down and mix it with secretions in the stomach to form a thick liquid. This thick liquid is called chyme. The chyme exits the stomach through peristaltic movements.
يبقى زي ما احنا شفنا في الفيديو كده الفود passes to pharynx then esophagus then stomach. دلوقتي معانا حاجة اسمها small intestine. يبقى it is the longest part the digestive system as its length is about 7 meters. So it coils inside the abdominal cavity. يبقى it coils inside the abdominal cavity. It consists of 2 parts. عندنا هي consists of 2 parts. يبقى number 1 the first part is duodenum. Number 2 the second part is ileum. ده شكل small intestine. شفتوا عاملة ازاي؟ لونج ازاي؟ عشان كده coils inside the abdominal cavity. وده شكل الديودينم وده شكل الاليوم. يبقى هنا الديودينم وهنا الاليوم. يبقى جيلي question complete ويقول لي small intestine consists of two parts. يبقى number 1 duodenum, number 2 ileum. يبقى نيجي number 1 duodenum. يبقى it is the first part of the small intestine in which pancreatic juice and bile juice are poured, where pancreatic juice is secreted by pancreas والبايل juice is secreted by liver. زي ما احنا شايفين كده ده شكل الليفر وده شكل البنكرياس. يبقى pancreas secreted by pancreatic juice bile juice secreted by liver. طب يجي يقول لي في function للبايل جوس. يبقى بايل جوس helps in digestion of fats as it changes fat into fatty emulsion. يبقى تاني ما يقول لي mention function of bile juice يبقى helps in digestion of fats as it changes fat into fatty emulsion. يبقى تاني اهوت liver helps to digest fats يبقى it secretes bile juice which helps to digest fats where it changes fats into fatty emulsion. طب لبارت نمبر 2 اللي هو ileum. يبقى it is the second part of the small intestine in which intestinal juice poured. In the ileum, number 1, the digestion of different types of food is completed. Number 2, the digested food is absorbed. يبقى تاني in ileum the digestion of different types of food is completed. يبقى number 2 the digested food is absorbed. طيب لو جه قال لي mention the function of small intestine in digestion are number 1 completing the digestion of different types of food, number 2 absorption of the digested food. يبقى لما يجي يقول لي الفانكشن بتاعت السمول intestine ويسكت يبقى الانسر بتاعي number 1 completing the digestion of different types of food, number 2 absorption of the digested food. يبقى ممكن يجي لي question كمان ويقول لي give reason you can't live without the small intestine. يبقى الانسر بتاعي because the small intestine is very important to completing the digestion of different types of food, number 2 absorption of the digested food. تعالوا نشوف فيديو للسمول intestine عشان يوضح لنا اكتر.
I am your small intestine, come journey with me, part of your digestive system, in your tummy I be. I am a 20-foot long hollow tube, you see. I absorb all of the nutrients that you will need. From your pyloric sphincter, your chime enters me into my duodenum. It's my first part of 3. Your duodenum's job is a critical one. It gets your partially digested food ready for absorption. Your liver, pancreas, and your gallbladder secrete the chemicals that mix with your chime matter, preparing your chime to be passed to your jejunum. This is where your small intestine starts the absorption. I am your small intestine, come journey with me, part of your digestive system, in your tummy I be. I am a 20-foot long hollow tube, you see. I absorb all of the nutrients that you will need. Now your jejunum is your second segment. That's where most of your food's nutrients is absorbed in its descent. And after your jejunum gets the nutrients it needs, the chime is passed to the ileum, which concludes the parts of 3. The ileum absorbs the remaining nutrients before beginning the journey into your large intestine. I am your small intestine, come journey with me, part of your digestive system, in your tummy I be. I am a 20-foot long hollow tube, you see.
يبقى زي ما شفنا الفيديو كده. طب دلوقتي عندنا activity بيقول لك to prove the bile juice helps in the digestion of fats. يبقى التولز بتاعتي test tube, food oil, water, breath, bile juice. طب الستيبس بتاعتي number 1 put amount of food oil in a test tube containing water then يبقى الاوبزرفيشن بتاعتي لما خليت في التست تيوب ووتر حطيت عليها فود اويل يبقى الاويل اند ووتر دونت ميكس. طب نمبر 2 لما عملت add someone drops of bile juice from any bird as previous tube. طيب يبقى الاوبزرفيشن بتاعتي bile juice makes oil and water mix together forming fatty emulsion زي ما احنا شايفين كده. تعالوا نشوف فيديو اكتر عشان يوضح الاكتيفيتي معايا.
Feed them from one another during the rest of the experiment. DI water, vegetable oil, and some biosolids. In addition to this, you will need some disposable pipettes and a microspatula. If you need more information about this protocol, I would advise you to get your hands on a copy of the Human Immunity Lab Manual by Mary Smith, where this experiment is described in more detail. In tube 1E, you want to add about 20 drops of DI water, followed by 4 drops of vegetable oil. Don't forget to put the cap back or to use some parafilm instead, because we will have to mix our solutions, and we like them shaken, not stirred. In tube 3, we are doing pretty much the same thing. We add 20 drops of DI water and 4 drops of vegetable oil. The only difference is that we also add a pinch of bile salt to the solution. And again, don't forget to cap the tube. Now comes the fun part. Shake both tubes as if you wanted to mix the oil with the water. Since both don't mix very well to start with, here we just want to break up the oil into smaller droplets to see what happens to the solutions over time when we let them sit after being shaken. And here's a nice little time lapse to show you what is happening in our solutions over a period of about 10 minutes. Even after less than 10 minutes, we can already see that the two tubes look different. Let's discuss those results. The only difference between these two tubes is the addition of bile salts to tube 2. Bile acts to some extent as a surfactant, helping to emulsify the liquids in food. This is why we see some sort of foam near the surface of tube 2E, which is in fact made up of very small oil droplets. This emulsification provides a greatly increased surface area for pancreatic lipase to act upon liquid. Bile is not an enzyme, but it certainly helps.
يبقى الكونكلوجن بتاعتي زي ما شفنا بعد الفيديو يبقى البايل جوز breaks down fats oil into small particles that dissolve in water forming fatty emulsion. يجي question ويقول لي complete. Space helps in digestion of fats يبقى البايل جوس الانسر بتاعي بايل جوس while space helps in digestion of protein يبقى الجاستريك جوس يبقى الفاتس يبقى بايل جوس لكن في البروتين يبقى الجاستريك جوس. طب لو جالي question يقول لي what happened of the small intestine is removed from the human body يبقى الانسر بتاعي هيبقى due to completing the digestion of different types of food don't absorption of the digested food. وبكده نكون خلصنا البارت بتاع النهارده اللي اخدنا فيه التانج والسافري جلاندز والفارنكس اسوفيجاس والاستومك واخدنا فيه السمول انتستين وقلنا ان هي consisted of two parts duodenum number 1 first part duodenum number 2 the second part is ileum واخدنا كمان الاكتيفيتي عليها.